Hello, it's I Bring It Every Day, and my name is Kelly. And as you all know, or the people who don't know, is that I'm a variety channel, do a lot of things, but one of the things I like to do is cooking, and I also do some arts and crafts and things like that. But I guess a few years back, I started cooking because I felt like we were spending, quite a bit of money on food, going out and everything. And then we've seen some really scary situations with the food. And what I mean by that is, people aren't, they don't do the best that they can, like when you buy stuff out. And I'll just give you an example. So the one example I can give you is um, my husband and I went to a fast food restaurant to get some chicken. And you can kind of figure out it's like one, it's either A or B for the chicken. Well, anyway, we go to this fast food restaurant, and I'm sorry I'm laughing because this is kind of like it's crazy. That's what it is. This is like nervous laughter from the crazy. All right, but here it is. So we go in this restaurant and it's fried chicken. So we he gets pieces and then whatever comes with it, a biscuit or whatever. And we go in there, and a guy walks in behind us, and he goes, "You guys gave me the wrong order." And he proceeds to hand the people the boxes that he had gotten. Now, obviously, that food they should have thrown it away, but guess what? The person that was working behind the counter did. They took the food and put it right back onto the serving area, which is pretty big violation for food safety. But that's a whole nother situation. But to make everything worse is that the person who handed the food back said, "I didn't like this. This wasn't what I didn't order this piece. I didn't order this piece." And he's touching them and he hands the boxes back to the guy who's working behind the counter, and the guy behind the counter literally takes the boxes, dumps the chicken out, and keeps moving. And then he proceeds to go get him whatever it was he was supposed to have gotten in the first place. So for us, that was kind of the tipping point of why one of the reasons that we really just stopped eating fast food. So anyway, I just want to take a quick second and just say we did leave. By the way, we didn't order anything else, and we haven't been back to that fast food place since. So I just wanted to make sure I filled you guys in on that. And this is going way back. Was the well, it was a documentary about eating a fast food in a fast food chain 3 times a week, 3 times a day. Sorry, for 30 days. It was that documentary. And when I saw the weight gain that happened, sorry, spoiler alert, but that's kind of what happened. The weight gain that happened to the poor guy from eating that. So that was the beginning of it. But the second thing that really pushed us over the edge was that chicken. So anyway, getting back. So I started doing a little bit of food research. I'm not a scientist. Well, I sort of am a scientist, actually. I mean, I don't have a degree, but I did study some science in middle school, high school, and college. So I've seen some stuff, done some labs, so I have a little bit of experience with food and things. And food safety really became a passion of mine. And during my, YouTube shows, I would do the cooking live as much as I could, and then talk about some of the stuff. And then, as everybody knows, there's been all these recalls pretty much since 2022, and it's just been ongoing, like ever since then, really. The end of 2022, just going forward all the way till now. So anyway, so stepping back, a lot of people are talking about uh, genetically modified foods, which is GMO, and you see a lot of this on social media. Now, the one thing that I realized that I think people are getting wrong, or maybe they're thinking about it, it's kind of simplistic the way that they're approaching it. And I didn't even think about this either. But I was reading the FDA, which is the Federal Drug Administration, and they're the ones, in addition to other things, they look at food safety, cosmetic safety, and drug safety, just generically speaking. And then also the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, monitors the recalls. Actually, they both do, but the USDA, I think, has more of a broader range of information, if I'm remembering correctly. Or it could be the reverse. But anywho, that doesn't really matter. But the point is, everybody's kind of freaking out about some of the stores having GMO stuff in their food, and I was guilty of this as well, because so way back, I think I went into a store. We were looking at like baked goods. You know how you eat, you look at these little baked goods in the store. You go, "Oh, that sounds good. Maybe I'll get one." Well, I saw on the back of somebody's package, and it said, you know, bioengineered or genetically modified food. Now that's so you look at that and you kind of go, "Ooh, that's weird," and a little bit scary. So, but the thing about it is, and this is where if like kind of looking a little further in, digging deeper, is the fact that one of the ingredients that's heavily genetically modified, and it's on the FDA website, do your research, check it out, is corn. And the thing that's interesting about corn in the United States is that it's everywhere. So in addition to just corn, just eating corn, there's or cornmeal or corn flour. There's they use GMO products to make those. But the thing that's very interesting to me is cornstarch, and I don't never think about cornstarch. So cornstarch is a thickener, and I don't know how they make it, but basically, I guess they grind the corn up and whatever they do to it. But it's a baking tool, and a lot of people use it for gravies, or thickener. So you can use it as a thickener. There's probably other things you can do with it, but cornstarch is in anything that's baked. Like a lot of things are use cornstarch. So that being said, a lot of these people were freaking out about the soup and all this other stuff about having GMO. Well, the GMO part of it probably. Now I don't work at any of these companies, but logically, if you think about this, the GMO part is probably cornstarch, especially for baked goods. So. And whatever they're using it for. And cornstarch is great when you fry chicken. Like if you put it in the flour, it makes the chicken really crispy. I've done it. Yeah. So fried chicken, I mean, it's going to be in that for sure. So anywho, so I was just kind of rethinking this whole thing with, the GMO. And so anything that's like baked, needs a thickening is going to have cornstarch. And basically, it seems to me that corn, regardless of what you're eating it in or whatever, and that's a high fructose corn syrup. You know what I mean? Like corn's everywhere. So that being said, I think that there might be a lot more GMO than what's really out there as GMO. But like I said, I feel like breads, any kind of baked goods is going to have cornstarch in there. And so it's going to be GMO. And that's why you see a lot of that GMO on products, I believe. Hey, let me know what you think in the comments. But it just occurred to me that people were kind of freaking out. But, and they probably should. But the bottom line is, corn. To me, it's everywhere. Like, I don't know how you're going to avoid it. Now I see that, now I did some research. There are some non-GMO cornstarches available online or whatever that are available, and that sounds like that's one thing to manage it. But to me, it's the corn. Like corn is huge, yeah. And if baked goods, my goodness, bread. People buy bread all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's insane. So I bring it every day. I've been thinking about this food again. So anyway, this is just another thing that just kind of occurred to me as I was checking out the social media and seeing people freaking out about the soups and some other stuff. Yeah. So there it is. Let me know. Any food scientists out there, fill us in, man. I would love to know. Oh yeah, and by the way, cornstarch is also in powdered sugar. So, oh my goodness, this just goes on and on and on. I'm telling you. Oh, and then here's another thing, and I just had a flashback about cornstarch. But a couple of my relatives were using it as a deodorant, as a powder to keep you from perspiring in the summertime. And I do remember that. So that's very interesting. So I just want to throw that out there as another use. But like I said, frying the chicken, cornstarch is fire. And then this deodorant, it actually keeps you pretty dry. Now, the question is, can we get non-GMO? I mean, we don't know. And they say that it's safe, but if you check out the FDA site, they get into a whole conversation about GMO. And so I'll just read you just a little piece here, and then you can do your own research. But they said there are very few crops. The ones that they mention are corn. Hold on, I'm just going to scroll here. Yeah, so it's soybeans, corn, sugar, canola, and cotton, actually. And those are some of the uses of the GMO products. And they say, like, for example, that corn, the reason that they make the corn more resistant to pests so that they don't have to use as many pesticides. That's the whole idea behind this stuff, and that it does seem to end up in a lot of processed foods. And then a lot of this food, they say very little of it's fed to humans, that they seem to feed it to livestock, cows, poultry. Yeah, cows. Oh my gosh, I can't even say cow. Cows and poultry, like chickens. So, but anyway, like I said, it's corn, soybean, cotton, and potato, actually, papaya, summer squash, canola, alfalfa, apple, and sugar beets. Oh, and then the last one is this pink pineapple. I was always wondering about that one. That one's a little bit, I found that a little strange. And then for the corn, I don't know. But like I said, I think a lot of it is corn, but they said, beets, are GMO as well. And it's all, to not have to use as many pesticides and herbicides. Yeah. So there it is. Yeah. Yep. Let me see if I'm reading this right. Oh boy, I may have to edit this, but here it goes. Sugar beets are used to make granulated sugar. More than half of the granulated sugar packaged for grocery shelves is made from GMO sugar beets. Because GMO sugar beets are resistant to herbicides, growing GMO sugar beets helps farmers control weeds in their fields. Interesting. So that being said, there's a lot with the food. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, and I think it's really difficult to avoid this. I don't know. I mean, I'm not throwing my hands up, but I'm kind of throwing my hands up. Just thinking about all this stuff. So, yeah, there it is. Okay, it's I Bring It Every Day. Just want to summarize this video, and here it is. So the bottom line is, processed foods are definitely containing some GMO stuff. So whether it's the corn syrup, it's the cornstarch, especially in those baked goods, not necessarily breads, because breads can be yeast, but anywhere you put cornstarch, and for a thickener, like I said, gravies, sauces, so things like that. Okay, so I have heard, and you got to do your research, but take a look at sorbitan monosterate. And it's an emulsifier that sometimes is added to yeast. So it is a corn derivative. And so one more time, so there's more. So yeah, I still maintain it's corn. Yeah. Corn is, but there's other stuff. And so it seems like you just have to, first of all, make your own food. First of all, try to find some non-GMO cornstarch. And then, and you can use flour. That I do know. And there's different types of flours that you can use. Rice flour, wheat flour, which I'm telling you. So the bottom line is, the food is a little complicated. And, and I just think you're going to do better by yourself if you try to eat as nutritiously as you can, try to eat as raw and, homegrown, home cooked, that kind of thing. And that's kind of the message, really, that I just want to leave with people today. And I don't want to freak people out, but, it's very, it's a little complicated out here. And I just wanted to bring that to people's attention. So, once again, let me know what you think. Peace.